Do you have an ad that is performing really, really well, and now you're wondering how you can scale it in order to get more results? Now, whenever a lot of people ask me about scale, most of the time they're asking the question in this context. Laurel, I have a great ad. It's doing well. I'm getting purchases, I'm getting cost per lead, but how do I add budget so that I don't get the dreaded diminishing returns? Well, for most people, diminishing returns, the higher the ad spend, that's typically the game. But if you're utilizing my advertising ecosystem, you should not have that issue. But what we're going to be talking about in this video is strictly the direct response campaign. So whether you are running an ebook funnel, whether you are running a webinar funnel, we're talking about the funnel where you're trying to get the 2 to 3% of people who are ready to buy now. For those of you guys who don't know, I do have an ads ecosystem that is built for very high return on ad spend, like as high as 30 to 40 times the return on ad spend. What we're going to be focusing on today is an actual direct response campaign that my advertising ecosystem is actually built around. A lot of people have the misconception that my ads ecosystem replaces a direct response campaign. That is not true. We're not going to be talking about the ads ecosystem in this video. We are strictly going to be talking about ads that you are running to a direct offer, like whether you're trying to get leads for a webinar, whether you're trying to book a call, whether you're trying to give away an ebook or sell a low ticket offer. Okay, so that's the context that we're going to be talking about this scaling strategy today. Okay, now let me actually share my screen so that you guys can see the thought process. There are 3 steps that I use in order to take a winning ad and scale it to multiple ad sets at thousands and thousands of dollars every single day. So I'm going to walk you guys through it step by step, but just know that there are 3 steps. Okay. Now, step number 1, we're going to launch a 5x3 campaign. Now, the reason that I love starting a launch with this 5x3 campaign is because it is going to let us know which audiences are winners and also which ads and angles are winners. Okay. Some people call this the sandbox testing campaign. I just say, hey, it's my 5x3 testing campaign. And it is because it is made up of 5 ad sets. So we've got ad set 1, we've got ad set 2, we've got ad set 3, we've got ad set 4, and we've got ad set 5. Now, keep in mind, this is all under one campaign, and the budget is actually going to be set at the ad set level, not the campaign level. So we're not using CBO for this. So we can start these each out at $10 just for this example. Now, I typically start ad sets at $10 to $20 depending on the budget. You can start it however you want, but I like starting it at a lower budget to give Facebook time so that we can increase the budget. I find that I get a more even scale that way. But the reason that it's called a 5x3 is because we've got 5 ad sets. And then what we're doing is we're putting the same 3 ads underneath each ad set. Okay. Now, these ads are going to be the same 3 across each ad set. I wanted to repeat that. So it's the same 3 ads across multiple ad sets. Now, some of these ads are videos, some of these are static image. It does not matter at this point, right? We're just trying to test ad angles and different creatives, right? So you might have an ad with an organic photo here. You might have an ad with a video here, and then you might have one with a graphic photo here. Okay. Right now, we're just doing a fast and dirty test. And then each of these ad sets is its own audience. And I'll walk you guys through the next step as far as how I choose my audiences here later. Right now, I just want you to understand that there's 5 different audiences. These are cold audiences, just so we're clear. 5 cold audiences, $10 a day, and 3 ads underneath. Okay. So this is a very basic test that I do. Okay. So doesn't matter whether you have a low ticket offer, whether you're running a webinar, does not matter. This 5x3 campaign is what I use for any type of direct response campaign. Okay. Now, because we are setting our budget at the ad set level, you're going to notice that Facebook is going to favor one ad over the other. That's okay in the very beginning. But One of the other things that I need you guys to understand is that I'm not running anything for less than 7 days because I want to give Facebook enough time to actually optimize this. And a lot of people don't take the time to let Facebook actually optimize. They want to turn things off. Okay. The way that I like to do things is I typically like to do a 7 day, forecast as far as like, okay, this is what I can expect for the next 7 days. Some people like to turn things off sooner, but here's kind of a general rule of thumb. So let's say you have a low ticket offer and it is $40. I'm going to let each ad set run 3 times the amount of the cost. So I would run it for $120. If I'm running something like an ebook funnel, webinar funnel, and my target cost per lead is $20, I'm not going to turn anything off until that ad set has reached $60, right? Because it's times 3. If I am running a book a call funnel and I want to book calls for 150, I'm probably not going to turn it off until I have gotten up to $450 in ad spend, right? And it's your discretion. You have to just kind of like figure out, how much you're willing to spend. But at the end of the day, like direct response campaigns are the most expensive. And so you just have to be ready to spend money. And you guys are going to see how this could get really expensive really quick. So what we're doing is we're running $10 a day to ad set number 1. So let's say ad set number 1 starts working. It gets a conversion, right? Facebook's likely probably going to start dumping a lot of the budget there. And so it's probably not going to spend on these other 2. So once you get a conversion, you want to keep upping it by 20% every 24 hours. Okay. Now, once I get a purchase, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to duplicate this ad set. So it's going to ad set number 1 at $10 a day. I'm also going to put this ad, even though it doesn't have a conversion, it's because Facebook has likely pulled the budget to the winning one. I want to give these 2 a fair shot. So I'm going to isolate it now that I know I have a quote winning audience in a sense that we got a quick win. We don't really necessarily know if it's a winning audience, but we know that it produced a conversion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to isolate. So I'm going to duplicate that ad set twice. And I'm going to isolate these 2 ads to see if it can produce a conversion. And remember, I'm running it 3x the acquisition, whether that's, a purchase or if it's a lead. And I'm going to do the same with this one. Now, because this has produced a conversion, I'm going to keep raising the budget 20% every 24 hours, but I'm also going to double the budget here. And I'm going to duplicate the ad set again. So ad set number 1, and I'm going to put the winning ad here and see if I can produce more conversions at a higher budget. And so this is kind of like like I said, what people kind of call the sandbox. And so this is the first level of what I would do whenever I am scaling a campaign. And I would do it for ad set 2, ad set number 3. So you can see how quickly we can get up to several $100s a day just by doing this one campaign. And again, we're all duplicating within the same campaign, because remember, we're not using campaign budget optimization. And so it's actually okay to do this. Okay. So that's the first step. And so that's how I am really figuring out which ads and which audiences are working really good. Now, one of the things that you're going to figure out is like, okay, cool. I've got 3 ads and I've got 5 audiences. Scale is being able to produce more winning audiences and more winning ads. And so let me walk you through step 2. Okay. So here's step 2. So let's say that you've got those 3 ads and all 3 of them are rocking and rolling. So this is one angle, this is one angle, and this is one angle, right? We should be testing, different angles and different creatives, right? So let's say these are 3 winning angles, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break these angles out into 3 or 4 variations, and I'll explain what that means, okay? So one of my winning ad angles says something like, the ad you're watching right now only cost me $5 a day to run, and on average, I will get 3 to 5 sales with it. That's an angle. And so once that ad started breaking out and getting a ton of conversions, I knocked out 4 different variations of it. So the original was a video. And so I knocked out a static image version of it. And then I also knocked out a graphic image version of it. And then I did another video in a Reels format that just had a slight tweak on the copy, but the angle was the same, right? Because the angle has proven to win. And so what we're going to do then is we're going to add in all of these variations into the sandbox. Again, we're going to start them at $10 a day underneath one of the winning audiences. So you can see now we've gone from 3 ads to pretty much 12 ads to throw into here. So again, you can see how we're scaling the budget, right? We're not only creeping up on what it costs right here, because remember, all of the winning ad sets, we pushing 20% every single day, but we're also adding more ad sets all within the same campaign. I haven't switched campaigns yet. This is all within the same campaign. Just step 2, we're just cranking out more variations. So underneath this variation, we would test it under all 5 audiences. Same with this one, we would isolate. Now, can you throw all 4 of these into the same ad set? Yes, but again, once I find a winning audience, I like to isolate my ads. Is it the right way to do it? I don't know, but it's just the way that I do it. And again, just because I do something doesn't mean that's the same way that you have to do it. But I just wanted to show you guys like what's been working. This is the way that I've been doing it for years. Like this is the same thing that I used to do whenever we would launch TV shows and stuff like that. This is the same thing. Now, once you have step 2 done, right? This is kind of like phase 2 of scaling. You have a shit ton of ad angles. You've got a ton of variations. You probably have your 5 audiences that are really bangers, right? Now, you're probably asking, Laurel, what do or should these audiences look like? So here's phase 3. Right? So I'm going to draw a little flagpole. Okay. So whenever you're first starting out and you don't have a lot of pixel data or any data like on platform or anything, this is how I like to start out with. It's tight targeting. Or I'm going to use warm audiences as well. In addition, they're not the same thing. Warm is obviously the low hanging fruit. Tight targeting is also low hanging fruit. Now, this is why a lot of people's ads putter out because they stay with the tight targeting. But, and so what I mean by tight targeting, there's 2 different ways of doing it, right? I can do single interests. Like let's say I was just targeting Russell Brunson or I was just targeting the keto diet, right? That would be tight targeting. So once we want to scale, we want to open it up a bit, right? And so the next phase of targeting, once we have a lot of tight targeting and we're getting conversions, the pixel data is getting smarter. Facebook knows exactly who you're looking for. So you can go a little bit more broad, but I'm not going completely broad. I'm going broad targeted, right? So if the keto diet was tight targeting, more broad targeting could be something like weightlifting, right? Or CrossFit or something like that, right? Like a little bit more broad targeting. We're opening things up a little bit. CrossFit would probably be more tight targeting, but weightlifting would be, or running, right, would be broad targeted. It's broad, but it's still kind of its own little niche. Then after broad targeting, I'm going to do broad audiences. So this would be something like fitness, weight loss, right? So the more that you go broad, the more room you're going to give Facebook to actually find your targeted audience. And again, we've got all of these variations and ad angles to test, but this is how we find new audiences because a lot of times these will putter out pretty fast. But here's the good news. If you have a super low budget, you could literally live here. Most of the time I lived here until it was time to scale my $7 program. I was able to make it all the way up to the spectrum of open. Open is at the top. That's whenever your pixel, you just kind of let your pixel do its thing. But you also have Advantage Plus now, where you can take some of this tight targeting and turn on Advantage Plus, and it is going to widen the scope where you have your tighter targeting here. So let's say I was targeting Russell Brunson and must also like email marketing. It's going to go within, it's going to open things up a little bit. So literally when I use Advantage Plus, I'm using my tight targeting, but I'm turning on Advantage Plus and it's opening up the spectrum of who it could actually go after. Now, you're probably wondering, Laurel, when does the CBO campaign come in? Because remember, this is all of the targeting that we're still going to use for for all of these different variations and all of these ad sets, right? So right now you probably have a ton of variations, you have a ton of audiences. Now you've probably gone into the broad. Here's where I like to use CBO campaigns. So here's where I tend to use CBO is whenever I have 3 to 5 winning ads and ad sets. So I'm going to start a CBO campaign and I'm going to launch it at $100 a day. And I'm going to just throw my best 3 to 5 ads along with one of the broad targeting options, and I'm just going to let Facebook do its thing. If this starts producing, I'm going to duplicate the exact same thing and throw another $100 a day. Now, a lot of you guys are probably thinking, well, Laurel, aren't you competing with me? I don't worry about competing with me myself. I don't worry about overlap or anything like that because it's so broad and the audiences is so big. But this is literally kind of like, I guess it's more of a 4-step, right? I guess I just showed you kind of 3 steps and then the CBO. So I guess it's 4-step. But this is essentially how I scale. It doesn't matter whether, like I said, a low ticket offer, a webinar, uh, ebook, pretty much anything. This is how I am scaling. Now, again, you can see how much money you're actually going to spend whenever you're scaling. But that's the thing is like Facebook ads cost money. And so the good news is for those of you guys who only have like a $500 a month budget to spend and you're just using phase 1 of my ecosystem, you can see how you can live in tight targeting forever, right? So anyway, I hope that you guys found this helpful. Let me know, drop a line below if you have any questions. I am more than happy to do a recap of this video or give you guys any resources that you need. But most of all, I just hope that you guys found this helpful.